Championship Saturday continues from the RP Funding Center in Lakeland. Spectrum News proudly welcomes you to coverage of the 2020 FHSAA Girls Basketball Championships. This afternoon, the 4A title on the line. The Crusaders from Bishop Kenny and Jacksonville taking on Lake Highland Prep. Welcome to Lakeland. Austin Lyon, Travis Jones, our entire crew on hand for the second of 5 championship games on this Saturday. 2 outstanding teams in this 4A final. Lake Highland 28-2. They are the top-ranked team in the state and maybe the best team regardless of classification. Their average margin of victory more than 40 points per game in the playoffs. Bishop Kenny, the number 2 seed in their region. They knocked off top-seeded Rains before handling Cocoa in the semifinals here on Thursday. A couple of players to watch, Travis. We start with Lake Highland, Western Carolina signee Zenoria Cruz. And you look at Cruz here, and what a leader she is. As a senior, there's an experience factor, but then there's also a little bit of pressure that this is your last high school basketball game. Won a state championship as an 8th grader with Lake Highland in 2016. And for Bishop Kenny, Jasmine Roberts, a 5'11 junior guard, versatile player. Very versatile, and we're talking about points over 1,600 in her career and closing in on about 800 rebounds for her career. Only a junior. She's got this year and then one more crack at it next year. 23 points, 13 rebounds in the semifinal win against Cocoa. Here's a look at the starters. First for Bishop Kenny, Maddie Millar, 207 made threes in her career. Offers include Virginia Tech and Indiana. And Kara McCarthy, the starting point guard, making her 116th consecutive start today. She started every game of her Bishop Kenny career. Lake Highland Prep starting 5 looks like this. Zenoria Cruz, we profiled in the open. Nyla Harris is the highest recruited player in the game. Her list of offers includes South Carolina, which right now is number 1 in the country. Kayla Blackshear, more than 1,000 points in her career. She has 20 college offers, including some from ACC and SEC schools. Al Honor has transformed this Lake Highland program, now in his 9th season, trying to win a 3rd state championship. He says that this is the best team he has had since arriving at Lake Highland. And as I said, by many outlets, they are rated as the number 1 team in the state, regardless of classification. In the middle of that Bishop Kenny huddle is Charles C. Clark, goes by Charlie, now in her 5th year. Was the director of basketball operations at the University of North Florida, and now extremely passionate about Bishop Kenny. Says she has a dream job. She'd be crazy to leave. Native of the Northeast Florida area and having a tremendous impact. Bishop Kenny was in the 6A championship game last year, lost to American Heritage. Lake Highland Prep, also a state runner-up a year ago in 5A to Oxbridge Academy. Terrence Mitchell, Chastity Taylor, and Melanie Rozier are the officials. Lake Highland in white, Bishop Kenny in black. And away we go here in a 4A title game. And it looks like right away Bishop Kenny's going to do an odd front zone, and that's how Lake Highland should attack it through the foul line, through the middle. Ingram's pass a little too tall for Nyla Harris, and now comes probably the key point in the game. Can Bishop Kenny handle the pressure that Lake Highland will apply for all 32 minutes? And Lake Highland Prep, known for this full court pressure. I love when a coach wants to do that, set the pace the way they want to play in this state title game. Roberts got a step on Cruz and banked it in. It's that half-court defense now that Lake Highland needs to worry about. Ingram got outside the lane, kicked to Cruz. Her first shot off the mark and rebounded by Amok Tong. And the senior Cruz has made more three-pointers this year as a senior than the first 3 years combined in her career. And just 26 in the first 3 years. She's made 38 of them this season. Lake Highland digging in their heels here a little bit on this half-court man-to-man. They didn't get an opportunity to do it in that first possession. But now you can see how stifling this half-court D can be for the Highlanders. Millar trying to go inside to Tong. Outstanding defense from Harris. In the right corner, that's Ingram teeing up a three, and Lake Highland's got its first basket.
You can tell Lake Highland, well coached by Coach Honor, the way they're attacking this zone, either through the middle or hitting those corners.
Roberts throws it away. Godbolt with the steal. Ingram rebounds the miss. 5 in a row quickly for Lake Highland.
And we might see an early timeout for Bishop Kenny if this trend continues with the full court pressure. And I like the officials letting them play. A little bit of contact there at the full court. State title game, let the girls play.
Challenge when you face Lake Highland. So hard to run your normal stuff because of the amount of pressure that they put on the ball. There is Roberts forcing the issue in the foul call against Nyla Harris.
And to your point, Austin, you can't simulate that in practice either. Your next 5 best players aren't going to provide that pressure that Lake Highland gives you. And if I'm Bishop Kenny, I want the ball in my best handlers of that basketball, because there's going to be a lot of turnovers if not.
Lake Highland trapped the ball screen, and Godbolt will be on the free throw line.
And it looks like right now Bishop Kenny with these turnovers leading to some leak outs. Again, in your offense, like you said, Austin, it's hard to run your stuff, but you've got to get the ball in your point guard's hand and let her run the show against this tenacious defense.
And Godbolt at the center of that. She is a lockdown defender. Al Honor told us on Thursday she doesn't get nearly as much credit as she deserves for the pressure she's able to put on opposing point guards, and she really controls the game defensively. Oh for 2 at the line, but Kayla Blackshear tracks down the rebound. Blackshear, strong post move on Neesmith. Finish with a left hand.
Nice move. Now, the boys' state title games will be next Saturday, and I'm not sure if we're going to see a better post move then than we saw.
Kayla Blackshear, the youngest of 3. Both of her older brothers play college basketball. Carrie at the University of Florida. Keenan is at Florida Atlantic. That is a great basketball family from Central Florida. Both of her parents among the best players in Stetson program history. Mom is the leading rebounder. Dad was the all-time leading scorer for a long time.
Yeah, that's a name, Blackshear, that's been heard in Central Florida here for quite some time. Going back to Edgewater and Evans and a bunch of different local high schools, and now, like you say, at the college ranks as well.
Foul was on a Muck Tong. Turnover starting to pile up for Bishop Kenny here as we approach the midway point of the first quarter. 7 unanswered for Lake Highland. Nyla Harris.
Oh my.
Highlanders dominating on the interior with Harris and Blackshear.
And the whole point of playing zone is to try to keep the ball from getting that close to the basket. The corners, a hard closeout to the corner opens up the block and put her in jail. Drop step and score.
Harris, a transfer from First Academy. The very first college offer came from Dawn Staley, head coach at South Carolina. And Gamecocks right now #1 in the country. Barely played any basketball until 6th grade, where she has become one of the top players in her class. That's one way to beat the full court pressure. Roberts caught it, the defender fell down, leading to the easy bucket.
And that could be considered some fool's gold right there for Bishop Kenny, because those deep passes are what you want. When you're a pressing team, you want them to throw deep, because those aren't normally that successful.
Ivy Saig has checked in for the first time. Ingram weaving her way through the defense.
I'm impressed with how Lake Highland just dicing up inside the paint against the zone. Most teams are very impatient and just jack up threes against the zone. Lake Highland just dicing it up.
Lake Highland 5 of 7 from the field. Bishop Kenny's made its only 2 shot attempts. Roberts with a finger roll, no good. Neesmith rebounds the miss.
And that's what Bishop Kenny's going to need. They're going to need some second chance opportunities against this defense, because you're not going to get a good look at a first opportunity very often.
Bounce pass inside, kicked by the Highlanders. 8-point lead for Lake Highland. State runner-up 2 years in a row, lost championship games to Oxbridge Academy. Really entertaining 5A championship game last year. They lost 71-65. A really high-scoring game for girls basketball.
And it's nice to have two teams here in the state finals that lost in the state finals, both of them last year, because you know one of them is going to get some redemption this year.
Roberts the drive. Neesmith had a defender on her back.
And this is a true test. Underneath out of bounds. You normally switch to a zone underneath out of bounds, which Lake Highland has done. Sometimes you give up easy hoops that way, or a foul like that.
Blackshear challenging the shot attempt by Roberts. It'll be 2 free throws for the Bishop Kenny Jr.
I know I did it when I coached, and I'm not exactly sure why. Our man-to-man defense was pretty good, but then when the other team would take it out underneath, we'd always switch to zone, and we were never as effective. And that's just what happened to Lake Highland there as well. Poor Coach Honor, he looks like a nervous wreck over there. Poor guy, he's a bundle of nerves here. So relaxed, so many state titles, so many Final Fours, so many state title games.
We talk about a contrast between these two coaches. Al Honor is rarely rattled, always composed on that Lake Highland sideline, and Charlie Clark is coaching every possession as though it's the last one she'll ever coach. Roberts poked it away from Ingram to the floor to retrieve it. Alicia Carter off the Lake Highland bench, spinning her way inside off the front rim. Saig rebounds it for Bishop Kenny.
Here's where, when you're Bishop Kenny, off of misses is where you want to attack. It's those makes. When Lake Highland scores, they can really get in their press. But when Lake Highland does miss a shot, that's where you really need to force the issue, I think, if you're Bishop Kenny.
Maddie Millar on the bench for an extended period of time for Bishop Kenny. She is their second leading scorer. Roberts, powerful move inside. Took it right through the chest of Carter.
Both teams showing some force underneath the basket. Aggression towards the rim.
Roberts, the only player who scored for Bishop Kenny. She's got all 8 of the Crusaders' points. Godbolt off the mark with the 3. Rebound no for Ingram, out of bounds. It will stay with Lake Highland.
And Lake Highland there showing a lot of patience. Swung the ball around until they got a wide open look for 3.
Carter. Again off from the perimeter. Carter with 40 made threes. That's the most on Lake Highland's team. She is a big spark for this team off the bench. This balanced scoring for Lake Highland, that's the main reason that Al Honor says this is the best team he's ever had. He had a state championship squad led by Destiny Walker, who was a McDonald's All-American. Jordan Lewis, who right now is at Alabama, was also on that team, but it was almost exclusively those two that had an impact. On this team, anyone can hurt you. Harris in heavy traffic lost the handle and out of bounds to Bishop Kenny.
And we talked about Bishop Kenny getting those second shot opportunities. That possession for Lake Highland, I think they had 4 opportunities at the rim, could not score. And here comes that pressure again.
Roberts tried to throw it off Blackshear. The ball didn't go out of bounds. Godbolt stripped away by McCarthy.
And that's one thing I like about Lake Highland. After a steal, they are in attack mode. Here we see they get to steal, and immediately they're rushing towards the rim.
Blackshear drives the baseline. Offensive foul.
Have to see that one again. I'm not sure. Usually with an offensive foul, there's at least a body's flying somewhere. Maybe a push off with her lead arm here. Maybe dipped the shoulder a little bit into her, but that's a tough one there.
Given the amount of contact we've seen in the game so far, just wouldn't anticipate that call. It's the second on Blackshear, so she leaves, and Lexi Blue checks in.
Yeah, it's tough picking up that second foul here in the first quarter.
Athleticism of Harris flying in. She got the steal and took it in for 2.
And she's like a defensive back, playing the back of this press. She can kind of roam as she pleases, and that's the end result of it. Yep, that's a foul. Yeah, good call.
Reach in on Sierra Godbolt.
And this is why a lot of teams don't press, is because it can lead to some foul trouble. If you have a deep team, it's not that big a deal, but when you start getting down to that 6th, 7th, 8th man, the press might come off.
7-player rotation for Lake Highland, so there's certainly contributors off the bench, but not an extremely deep team. Finally, Bishop Kenny gets settled in the half court, and Roberts is trapped. Neesmith aggressively taking it into the 8th grader blue. She missed the shot, and here comes Carter. She'll step into a 3. Lake Highland yet to get it going from the perimeter. That's about the only part of their game that's struggled so far.
Yeah, and Carter, you can tell her best shots are ahead of her. She has a good-looking shot. She steps into it with confidence, but she hasn't hit one yet.
Saig picks up the dribble.
Oh.
Here comes Carter in transition. McCarthy giving chase.
Oh, my.
How about the body control by Alicia Carter?
Just the athleticism to get to that basketball before anybody else could.
It is just relentless pressure from Lake Highland. Roberts picks up the dribble. McCarthy has it. Clock under 10. McCarthy off a screen. Nothing there. Roberts going to have to hoist an NBA range 3, and she drills it. What a first quarter for Jasmine Roberts, doing everything for Bishop Kenny. She has all 11 of the Crusaders' points. Lake Highland's defensive pressure helping the Highlanders to a 5-point lead after 1. Minutes in the books here at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland. Lake Highland Prep leading Bishop Kenny 16-11. Bishop Kenny had a run of success in the early 90s, won 3 consecutive state titles from 1990 to 1992. Todd Orlando was the coach at that time. He is now the principal of the school and a mentor to Charlie Clark. Lake Highland Prep, back-to-back titles in 2015 and 2016. Also been a runner-up 3 times, making their 7th championship game appearance this afternoon.
And people sometimes talk about how, well, this is this year's team, that was then, this is now. But history matters. When you're building a program and you've built a program, I think the history of that program becomes very important going forward. Next year's team wants to be the same level.
Roberts with a deep 2, and she continues an incredible start. Now, she started 1 for 6 in the semifinals here on Thursday, hit 7 of her last 11 shots to finish with 23 points, and she has picked up right where she left off. Roberts 5 of 6, and again, she's got all 13 for Bishop Kenny. Cruz unable to answer. And a rare possession with no one on the offensive glass for Lake Highland, an uncontested defensive rebound.
And this is where, if you're Lake Highland, yeah, get the ball out of Jasmine Roberts' hand.
Neesmith turning on the 8th grader blue, and it's a friendly roll off the back of the rim.
We've seen some phenomenal post moves at both ends. Just when you think there are no more post moves in basketball at any level, we've seen some great ones here today.
And with that move by Neesmith, Nyla Harris and Kayla Blackshear both get up from the Lake Highland bench. So the small lineup that Lake Highland utilized at the start of the second quarter is going to last about 90 seconds.
Yeah, the foul trouble goes away once that lead goes away.
Ingram unable to get it to go inside, and Bishop Kenny will have a chance for the lead. McCarthy's pass for Tong intercepted.
Nice
Great
pass.
one-handed pass. Carter for Cruz.
I am so impressed with Alicia Carter, just athletic as can be, and like you said, just a uncanny one-hand pass there for the assist.
Carter likes to score. That's why Al Honor brings her off the bench. And she is a bulldog defensively as well.
Yeah, this is fun basketball to watch. Lake Highland, the way they play defense, it's kind of like they have free will to roam wherever they need to.
Sag off the kick, no good with a three. Roberts the rebound, and she banks it in.
Coach Honor has seen that young lady score enough.
That is not an uncommon sight during a Bishop Kenny timeout to see Charlie Clark tearing into one of her players. But right now, only positive things to say about Jasmine Roberts.
Of all people that you want to box out, Jasmine Roberts is the one person that you'll want to find when a shot goes up. Don't give her an opportunity to score an easy one.
Roberts 6 of 7 from the field. She's got 15 points. 11 Division I offers for Jasmine Roberts. Said on Thursday that Miami and Temple are her two leaders right now. Got the Dolmovich twins, Rachel and Rose, both headed to Division III Oglethorpe. Maddie Millar, Jamia Neesmith, generating college interest, and Amok Tong is signed to play at Flagler College, Division II school in St. Augustine. That is Charlie Clark's alma mater. Harris got position inside and contact on the shot.
And again, against the zone, you just don't see this very often. That's a well-coached team. That's a well-disciplined team that can get the ball inside against the zone. And about Jasmine Roberts, she's going to have quite a shopping trip when she decides between Temple and Miami. Different wardrobes for those two universities.
South Beach and Philly, not exactly identical climates. This is the fourth game we've seen Bishop Kenny play here at the state tournament, and just incredible to think about Maddie Millar being a non-factor so far. Been on the bench for a long time for Bishop Kenny, second leading scorer. But Charlie Clark's team hanging right there with the #1 team in the state. Right now it's a 2-point lead for Lake Highland, mostly to the efforts of Jasmine Roberts. Neesmith along the baseline. Oh, the athleticism of Cruz to get in the passing lane. 3-on-2. Cruz takes it in herself off the back rim. Harris had a chance at the rebound, and it will stay with Lake Highland.
Yeah, I know we've used that word a few times here today already with athleticism, but there's times where it just sticks out how athletic these girls are.
Tong sits for Bishop Kenny. Millar back in.
Good seal on the inside.
That's
Great
Harris
play
against McCarthy.
That
Easy basket once Harris made the catch.
That is an underneath out of bounds play that slowly develops on purpose and just sets you up.
We'll see if the presence of Millar maybe opens up the floor a little bit more for Roberts. Roberts attacking on Cruz. Blackshear comes over to double. Got a couple of really good shooters out there for Kenny right now in Millar and Rose Dolmovich.
And you always want your teams to be patient, but unfortunately for Bishop Kenny, too much patience is going to lead to turnovers. You want to get a good shot and get it as early as you can in the possession before you turn it over against this stifling defense.
Up top, Dolmovich, open three. She's got it. Outstanding three-point shooter. Hit 10 threes in a game as a sophomore. That's the 172nd in her career.
And that's a catch and shoot. It looks like when her feet are set, that ball is in the basket.
We mentioned that Dolmovich is part of a set of twins on this team. It's Rose and Rachel. They tore their ACLs 2 days apart in June. Both tore their left ACL. An incredible amount of work went into the recovery. Both returned, and then Rachel Dolmovich tore her same ACL again on senior night.
Oh my.
So she is a spectator looking on from the bench. Rose, the only one of the twins that's able to go. You can see a brace on that left knee. Jamia Neesmith called for an offensive foul as Bishop Kenny had a chance to take the lead.
Now that's where a body went flying. Not on the ground, but a body went flying. And a good call there on the offensive foul. But yeah, they're family doctor, keeping them in business.
Both playing at Division III Oglethorpe next year. Bishop Kenny 13-4 since their return. Not a record that you'd normally see from a state finalist. 22-9, 9 losses for Kenny, but a challenging schedule, and dealt with the Dolmovich twins injury and some others throughout the season that have affected personnel. McCarthy picks up the dribble, and that'll be the second foul on Zenoria Cruz. 6th on Lake Highland.
And give Coach Honor some credit here. Even though his team is in some foul trouble, they're not backing off. They're sticking to their guns defensively, and he's leaving them out there with 2 fouls.
5 fouls committed by Lake Highland in the first quarter, only 1 in almost 6 minutes of action here in the second quarter. Neesmith attacking on the 8th grader, lost the handle. Thought she was in a position to go up there. Roberts down the lane. A tough shot there, and good defense played by Cruz.
Lake Highland is running.
Harris fouled by Tong. That will be her 3rd. So she just checked back into the game. Abuck Tong picks up her 3rd foul. And Dolmovich is going to come back on for the Crusaders.
And Nyla Harris, give her all the credit for those post moves inside, but her teammates around her are really supplying her the basketball in good positions.
Neesmith deflects the pass. I got to tell you, watching Charlie Clark is almost as entertaining as watching the game. Might be more entertaining.
Can we get a Coach Clark cam, just maybe in the corner of the screen?
Great bundle of energy and so much respect between her and these players. It's about building trust. You know, having coached a state championship team, you can't just immediately come in and coach, whether it's boys or girls. You can't coach them hard. You've got to establish that trust to be able to get in their face and know that they're thinking of your best and the team's best.
Especially these days. I haven't coached in over a decade, and I think today's teenager is a different animal than when I was playing or when I was coaching. And so the fact that she can get in their face and really push and motivate them speaks volumes about the relationship she's built with them.
McCarthy misses the free throw but tracks down the rebound. Coming up on 90 seconds to go here in the first half. Bishop Kenny led 2-0. Since then, Lake Highland has been in control. A couple of runs by Kenny have kept them in it. Off the kick, Dolmovich, another 3. Hit the front and back of the rim, would not go down, and Godbolt's pushing it for Lake Highland. She got down the floor in a hurry. Blue unable to hit the 3, but Cruz uncontested on the backside with the easy putback.
And that might be Lake Highland's best offense, is just getting a shot up and crashing the boards, those second shot opportunities.
Neesmith kick Millar. And there's a look at why Maddie Millar is such a fantastic shooter. Millar with now 208 threes in her career and just a sophomore.
And you could tell it was about to happen. She's been playing through some things here this first half, but she was spotted up for that one.
First shot attempt of the game for Millar, and it was pure. Harris against a double team. Travel.
So if you're Bishop Kenny now, you're in a good spot because you've kind of taken Lake Highland's best punch this first half, and you have an opportunity here with the patience they've shown to milk this clock and have a shot to tie it or take the lead at the half.
McCarthy up ahead for Neesmith. Millar.
Oh, that was in.
And out. Well, every attempt she's had here in Lakeland has looked good online, even the misses. Godbolt, one hand flip doesn't go. And Bishop Kenny now a chance for the last shot. Crusaders can tie or take the lead with a 3. Harris intercepts the pass. Up ahead, Carter. Godbolt got it off.
Count it.
In time, and that will count at the buzzer.
Oh yeah, that counts. Are they going to come talk to us, see if it counts or no?
They will not do that.
Come on.
So Lake Highland and Coach Al Honor heads to the locker room with a 4-point lead as Charlie Clark pleads her case to the officials, and once again a snapshot of the difference in personalities between the two coaches.
Coach Honor's just heading to the locker room.
Really entertaining first half here in the 4A championship game. It's Lake Highland with a 4-point lead, 27-23. Travis and I back for the third quarter coming up. Halftime of the 4A championship game here at the RP Funding Center in Lakeland. Lake Highland up on Bishop Kenny 27-23 here at the break. Austin Line, Travis Jones, our entire crew on hand to bring you the second of 5 championship games on this Saturday. Field goal percentage edge for Bishop Kenny. Crusaders shot 60%, but turnovers were the big problem for Kenny in the first half, 11 of them resulting in 22 Lake Highland points.
That's what I was going to talk about, those points off of turnovers. It's Bishop Kenny showing a lot of patience on the offensive end, but sometimes that patience leads to turnovers, leading to points at the other end, whereas Lake Highland has been anything but patient. They are attacking the basket.
22 points off turnovers, and Lake Highland with only 27 in the game. We mentioned the Highlanders, by all accounts, are the #1 team in the state regardless of classification. That's because of what they've done during the course of the season against the teams that made it here. 7-0 against teams in the regular season. You throw in the semifinal win against Cardinal Gibbons. 8-0 against teams that made it here to Lakeland.
And you look at a team like Wekiva, who's here almost every year, and that was a blowout victory for Lake Highland Prep. Wekiva we'll see here later this evening. But yeah, look at that resume. Strength of schedule, pretty good here, huh?
And not just wins, but you mentioned the Wekiva win. Miami High by 12, Miami Country Day by double digits. Closest game was against Florida Prep, who we just saw win the 2A championship yesterday, 62-57. 2 fouls on Cruz and Blackshear. They both sat out for portions of that first half. Amok Tong has 3 fouls for Bishop Kenny. And we are set to go with half number 2. Lake Highland in white, Bishop Kenny in black. Both of these teams state runner-up a year ago. Trying to make sure it's gold this season.
Bishop Kenny sticking with that odd front. It's either a 1-2-2 or 3-2, but the corners are going to be wide open against it.
Ingram's 3 off the mark. Blackshear rebounds the miss. Lost the handle, and McCarthy comes out of there with it for Bishop Kenny.
And Blackshear having, oh, that's her third, and that's not a good foul at half court. Just actually trying to get back on defense.
They get Blackshear with the foul, and as you mentioned, Travis, it is her third. And immediately, Alicia Carter is going to come back in for Kayla Blackshear.
And that's a tough break for Lake Highland. Blackshear, I thought, really never got in the flow of that first half because she had to sit pretty early with foul trouble, and we're going to see the same thing here in the second half.
Blackshear actually with 4 fouls.
Oh.
Started the half with 3 and immediately picks up her 4th, and another quick reach-in foul against Lake Highland.
And you often wonder sometimes if the officials talk at halftime, just like a coach talks to his team. The officials get together and talk, and maybe there was a discussion about tightening up the calls.
2 quick team fouls against Lake Highland in the first 30 seconds of the half. Roberts called for a travel. Great defense from Godbolt.
Yeah, that's Godbolt forcing that turnover, and she's almost like a one-person trap out there against the ball. And here, if I'm Lake Highland, I would go back to trying to attack through the free throw line, through the corner, even a short corner attack against this odd front zone.
Harris gets a touch on the block. Impressive move up and over Neesmith.
Yeah, that's unfair. That's unstoppable. That's a play that you could run for the rest of this game. Throw it to the corner, throw it inside. And there are times in this game, Austin, where it looks like Lake Highland is the much better team on a string of possessions, but the scoreboard doesn't indicate that.
Bishop Kenny was knocked down by Lake Highland early in the game. It was 8-2 very quickly, but the Crusaders got back in it, had a couple of chances for the lead. They have hung in there. Roberts attacking off the screen. Loose ball comes to Tong. Now McCarthy inside, doesn't take a lot of shots. That one no good with a left hand. And a wide open transition opportunity. Carter off the feed from Godbolt.
I thought we'd get a Bishop Kenny timeout there. It has not been a good start to the second half for Bishop Kenny. And they still seem a little discombobulated here on the offensive side of things.
Tong's pass goes through the hands of Neesmith. Numbers for Lake Highland. Godbolt off the back rim, and the rebound to Neesmith. Kenny got a break there with that missed opportunity in transition.
They did, and Nyla Harris wasn't real excited about not getting the ball there in transition.
It's been almost exclusively Godbolt guarding Roberts here in the early stages of the second half, and Roberts has been unable to do anything. Reach-in foul there on Alicia Carter.
And this is one thing that Bishop Kenny's got to hope develops here is foul trouble on Lake Highland. Get them in the bonus for the rest of this half and get some Highlanders on the bench with foul trouble. Great D there by Godbolt. There was a backdoor cut. There was an isolation for a backdoor cut, and Godbolt was all over it.
Roberts has had to do so much for Bishop Kenny. Got 15 of their 23 points.
Great defense.
Neesmith blocked by Cruz.
Even if she doesn't block that shot, that was great defense.
More than 3 minutes into this third quarter, and Bishop Kenny is yet to score.
The corner wide open.
And Carter splashes a three. Timeout, Bishop Kenny.
It was just a matter of time before those corner threes start falling. And now that they are falling, there's going to be a hard closeout the next time it comes to the corner, and then it's just going to go inside. It's something that Bishop Kenny's got to change in their defense.
Going back to the layup at the end of the first half, it's now 9 unanswered for Lake Highland. They have stretched the lead to 11, largest of the game for the Highlanders. This is reminiscent of what we saw in the third quarter here on Thursday. Lake Highland led Cardinal Gibbons by a point, 14-13, and outscored Gibbons 24-4 in the third quarter. And it's a very similar looking quarter here so far against Bishop Kenny.
Now, first things first, you got to break the press. But in the half-court setting, I would think a more concerted effort to find threes. You've got Millar, you've got Domovich that can really knock down threes. When Lake Highland runs and jumps in the half-court, I would look to attack it with threes. Good job breaking the press. You're halfway there. Now be patient. Spot those girls up. Look for threes.
Tong in the post, tied up by Ingram, and the arrow will keep it at this end of the floor.
Ingram giving up about 5 inches in there. Just stayed low, break down on the ball. Post defense by Lake Highland. They do the little things so well. Out of bounds plays, post defense. Just can really tell how well coached they are.
Once again, Roberts gets doubled, forced to give it up. Ball handling not the strength of Millar's game. McCarthy down the lane. It goes in, and she'll have a chance for three.
And Stephanie Ingram with her hands up, wondering what she did wrong. She was close. All she's got to do is step in and take a charge, not kind of bump her, but on the side. It's actually a good call and one. And that's exactly what the doctor ordered for Bishop Kenny.
Bishop Kenny desperately needed a bucket, and their senior point guard delivers it, making her 116th consecutive start.
And you can tell that she's kind of the fiery leader of this team, the quarterback. Both sides of the floor, directing people around. And yeah, they're going to take away the corners, but that leaves the inside open.
Millar went over to double Nyla Harris on the catch. Reach-in foul on sophomore guard, her first. And the first on Bishop Kenny here in the third quarter.
Now, you run something here for Nyla Harris. Or not.
Corner three, Stephanie Ingram. Carter hit one in the right corner, now Ingram from the left corner.
Oh, this is fun defense to watch. It's gambling, you might give it up once in a while. but then you're right back at it offensively.
Tong with the uncontested layup off the pass from McCarthy.
And that's what Bishop Kenny needs to do. They need to keep coming back as far as answering, breaking the press. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get the lead back with one shot. But if Lake Highland's hitting threes, it's going to be a tough task for Bishop Kenny.
3 consecutive made threes for Lake Highland. That one was from Cruz. Roberts forcing the issue, and Cruz blocked the shot out of bounds.
Zenoria Cruz hits a 3 at one end. Defensive stalwart at the other end. Western Carolina got themselves a good one.
Al Honor said he's heard from a number of coaches since Cruz signed with Western Carolina that said we wished we'd recruited her harder because we realized she could have played for us and made a big impact.
Yeah, that happens a lot. You don't know what they do over the summertime, and the summer really determines more than the high school season does. But once in a while, you'll see a winner like that play for a state title as a senior, and as a college coach, you look at, wow, that's one that got away.
Lake Highland Prep trying to win their 4th state championship, and that would put them in elite company. Dr. Phillips Edgewater First Academy, the most state championships among schools from Central Florida, all of them with 4. Lake Highland tied with Astronaut Jones and Lake Mary. And a lot of the titles for Central Florida have come in bunches. Dr. Phillips won 3 in a row. Edgewater won 3 in a row. First Academy had a great run in the mid-2000s. Lake Highland back-to-back in 15-16, and now a chance to return to the top.
And you think about Orlando and how sprawled out it is and how much the population is increasing every day in Orlando, and just how watered down some of these programs are just because they are so spread out. It's incredible, the talent and the coaching that goes on in Central Florida girls basketball.
8 straight seasons with at least 23 wins for Lake Highlands. Some contact on that shot attempt by Roberts. No whistle that time. Cruz trying to thread the needle, unable to do so. So right back at this end of the floor with Bishop Kenny trailing by 12.
And Bishop Kenny, again, showing a lot of patience offensively. But you have weapons. You've got a couple shooters that you've got to find shots for. Easier said than done with this Bulldog defense.
Couple of down screens from Millar, and she could not get on track. Just amazing the level of defensive excellence from Lake Highland. Stuff that you were able to run, a set that might work against just about any other team in the state. But these players with their athleticism, their length, and their desire to just fight through everything on the defensive end of the floor make it nearly impossible. Cruz hesitated before letting it go. Ingram on the backside. Just tougher than Rose Domovich.
And Stephanie Ingram, I don't remember saying her name much in the first half, but she's put on a string of great plays here in the third quarter.
Now 12 points for Ingram. McCarthy's pass deflected. Cruz couldn't quite get there. Millar fighting inside. McCarthy, no. Millar got the rebound. Tie up between McCarthy and Carter, and the arrow will give it back to Lake Highland. (15-5) so far. Lake Highland has outscored Bishop Kenny here in the third quarter. Aria Mascarenas comes in for Lake Highland, her first action of the game. And she's an outstanding shooter as well. Hit a couple of threes in the semi.
Mascarenas lucky she wasn't alive in the early 90s when the Macarena was so popular. She would have never lived that one down.
Quick history lesson from Travis Jones, our resident professor. Ooh, that ball over the midcourt line once Cruz got to touch it.
Good thing it was for Lake Highland. That was a breakaway. So now you get a turnover for Bishop Kenny. Godbolt's on the bench. Let's see what you can do with it. Not much. I don't think it matters much who's on the bench for Lake Highland. Whoever's out there really just defensively great.
Tong with a size advantage on Ingram, unable to capitalize. Another jump ball. Bishop Kenny will keep it with 33 seconds to go.
And Godbolt's getting a nice rest on the bench for Lake Highland. Less than a minute of clock time, but it's going to be including the quarter break, it's going to be a good almost 5 minutes of break time for her. Plus Blackshear hasn't picked up a fourth foul this whole quarter as well, been on the bench.
Roberts had 15 at the half, has not scored here in the third quarter. She was all of Bishop Kenny's offense in that first half. Millar unable to turn the corner. Back to Roberts, clock ticking down to 10. Neesmith lost the handle. Carter comes away with it and delivers a pinpoint pass up the floor. Mascarenas couldn't handle it. Roberts, does she see the clock? Lets it go in time off the front rim. One of the few shot attempts that Jasmine Roberts got in that third quarter. Lake Highland's suffocating defense gives them a 14-point lead. 15-5, Lake Highland outscores Bishop Kenny in the third. See if the Crusaders have anything left in the final 8 minutes. More minutes in this 4A championship game. Lake Highland Prep leading Bishop Kenny 42-28. Highland coach Al Honor says this is the best team he's ever had, and he said that is because it is truly a team. 5 players averaging 8 points or more. Balanced scoring bearing itself out today.
And it's so rare to have a team that you can get that type of balance, and it really comes down to the personalities of your better players, like a Nyla Harris, Zenaria Cruz, Caleb Blackshear, who offensively could go play at other schools and average 20 a game, but to buy into a team system and average 11, 10 points a game and have that type of balance, that's how you win a state championship.
15-5, Lake Highland outscored Bishop Kenny in that third quarter, and again doing it without one of their top players. Caleb Blackshear on the bench with 4 fouls. Carter from the corner. She's got another one. Second three for Alicia Carter.
And I almost talked about showing a lot of patience against this zone. No.
10 points and now make it 12 for Carter off the bench. She scored the first 5. And the lead is swelled to 19.
And keep the pressure on. A lot of teams, a lot of coaches would think, all right, state championship game, we've got a lead, let's call off the dogs, but that's not how you're used to playing. You want to continue to play how you're used to playing basketball.
Roberts attacking, shot would not drop, but she'll get a couple of free throws.
And this is what Jasmine Roberts needs. She's had a rough second half. Early here in the fourth quarter, she needs to get to the free throw line like this, get comfortable, knock down a couple free throws, and then maybe get back in the swing of things.
But Roberts with 16 of Bishop Kenny's 29 points. And the defensive adjustment from Al Honor for most of that first half, we saw Cruz, a little bit of Blackshear guarding Roberts. In the third quarter, it was almost exclusively Sierra Godbolt, and there was no room for Roberts to go anywhere.
A noticeable change. And what people have to also understand is how this defense wears on you physically. So you might be fresh in the first half and score your team's first 12 points, but then defensively, they're just wearing you out. So by the time this fourth quarter rolls around, you're tired. You can't make those shots you were making in the first quarter. Another seal. That's a great play.
Easy layup for Harris, a size mismatch against McCarthy. Roberts navigates her way through the pressure. Tong standing wide open the entire time, but because of how long it took, Nyla Harris got back and swatted that behind the basket.
Just a relentless on-the-ball defense and then closing out in transition with the block.
Millar, NBA range three. Hit every part of the rim and dropped in.
And that's your only hope right now if you're Bishop Kenny, is to try to get these shooters hot from behind the three-point arc. You've got to come out of your zone defense now, or you're just going to keep giving up wide open threes.
Carter Long. Here comes Roberts for Bishop Kenny. Got into the lane, left it off for Tong.
Nice play.
5 in a row for Bishop Kenny. It's back to a 14-point margin. Roberts nearly a steal. Jump ball, and the arrow will give it back to the Crusaders.
And that's Roberts saying, I don't want to go back and play zone, coach. I want a full court press like them. We're down.
Bishop Kenny fighting to stay in it. Down by 19, they've scored the last 5. Roberts really forcing the issue, and she gets called for a travel.
And now the full court pressure is coming out. Coach Clark telling the girls to come up full court. They're so used to falling back to that zone, they're not.
Now Honor takes a timeout. No let up in the intensity for Bishop Kenny coach Charlie Clark on that sideline. Bishop Kenny trying to win championship number 4. First since they won 3 in a row from 1990 to 1992. And for Lake Highland, it would also be their 4th title. First since going back-to-back in 2015 and 2016. And again, it would tie them for the most among any girls program in Central Florida. Was definitely cooler than normal outside, and it's always fairly cold here at the RP Funding Center. I don't know if it's that cold. Any way to get comfortable and watch the action, right, Trav?
That's it. Hey, happy Leap Day, by the way, buddy. February 29th. I wonder how many of these teams, girls teams, their slogan was, "We want to play on Leap Day." Huh?
I think probably none.
Oh,
You don't think so?
I think you look ahead to the schedule and you say, I want to play on Leap Day, and here it is. Leap Day.
First Leap Day since
4 years ago.
Okay. Our resident history professor.
No
Travis
March
Jones.
Madness. Last day of February.
Well, March Madness next week for the boys tournament. Lake Highlands boys will be here. They won in the region final last night. Punched their ticket to Lakeland. Kayla Blackshear back in, wanting to get in on the action. Jacks up a quick 3. Probably not what Al Honor talked about in the timeout. And Roberts is fouled coming up the floor. That'll be the 6th team foul on Lake Highlands, so no bonus yet for Bishop Kenny.
And you can tell Jasmine Roberts is winded. She's had to do a lot of things for this Bishop Kenny team, not just scoring so much in that first half, but she's handled the basketball for the majority of this game.
Roberts spinning into the lane, and the bank shot goes.
And here comes the press. And if it's something you're not used to doing, though, it's something you might not be as effective at.
Got a break with the Blackshear miss, 2 more missed layups, and finally a foul call. Bishop Kenny unable to get a defensive rebound, and so Kayla Blackshear will be at the line.
And Blackshear, you can tell, just isn't in the game mentally as she normally would be, if not for the foul trouble in both the first and second half. And that's a good sign if you're Lake Highland, because you've kind of gotten off track here these last few possessions. You've shot some quick threes. You've given up some pretty easy baskets in transition. So to get to the line and make it, get you back on track, and you can get back into your full court press.
2 free throws, stretches the margin back to 14. 51-37. Lake Highland led by 4 at the half. Outscored Bishop Kenny 15-5 in the third quarter.
And no pass goes uncontested against Lake Highland. There's no easy pass anywhere. That's got to be offensive.
Whistle off the ball. Looks like it's going to go on Carter.
Oh, that's Maddie Miller just pushed her. I don't know. I don't know what Carter's supposed to do there.
That's the third foul on Alicia Carter. Line change for Bishop Kenny as Neesmith and Sade come back in. Millar 71% at the line. And as you'd expect, nothing but net.
She's grateful to have just an open look here. She has not had many. The threes that she has made, have been contested at all times by Lake Highland.
Now 7 points for Millar. Terrence Mitchell at the scorer's table. The scoreboard shows Bishop Kenny with 14 fouls, Lake Highland with 6. Have to be 7 for Bishop Kenny to be in the bonus, so they've gotten that corrected. Bishop Kenny with 3 team fouls, so minor mistake at the table, and one more shot for Millar.
So if you are trying to press, this is an important free throw. Got to make this so you can set up your press more efficiently and still set it up after a miss, but don't need to here.
Neesmith on the ball. Godbolt out of the trap. It gets to Carter. Now Roberts with a reach-in foul. Carter some frustration.
Carter, only a freshman, but she is feisty. Love it.
And all the girls on this Lake Highland team, you know, Carter is 5'7", Godbolt is 5'6", Stephanie Ingram is 5'7". They all play bigger than that because of their length and their strength.
Length, strength, and great footwork. You can tell that they've been taught, especially post defense. You can tell that the myth is that you've got to be tall to guard someone inside, but you can get low, you can be short and get low and really use footwork and balance to counteract any height inside.
Al Honor told us on Thursday he thinks 7 potential D1 players on this roster. Some of them obviously with Sonoria Cruz, already signed with Western Carolina. You've got Blackshear as a junior being recruited by a ton of Division I programs. Nyla Harris with the offer from South Carolina, but he thinks that Ingram, Godbolt, Lexi Blue, who's an 8th grader, and Alicia Carter all have Division I potential.
We talk about all the state titles coming out of Central Florida. Just think about all the lives that have changed from college scholarships from basketball with these girls.
Harris just continues to show her work on the interior. Now 16 points for Nyla Harris. Roberts streaking down the lane, blocked by Godbolt, and then Roberts kind of inexplicably tried to grab the ball as it was going out of bounds.
So now if you're Bishop Kenny, there's no such thing as a good turnover, but that's a better turnover because it stops the clock and you get to set up your press.
Godbolt, long pass out of the trap. Harris has it, 2-on-1. Ingram, nice. Bounce pass. And they'll kick out. Cruz open 3. Off the back rim. Blackshear tracks down the board.
It sometimes looks like there's more Lake Highland players out there than Bishop Kenny. It's just they're getting to every loose ball.
Roberts double teaming Godbolt. Cruz unable to get there. Uncontested layup. Back to a 12-point game with under 4 minutes to go.
They're going to have numbers throughout now. That's actually a good foul.
Yeah. Potentially an easy layup. Instead, Roberts grabs Godbolt. That's her 3rd foul, and the 5th against Bishop Kenny.
Sometimes what you find when a team has to press because they're down late, and that's really the only time they press, it might work a few times, but eventually it's going to get chipped away at.
Reach in on Millar, and that's the last foul Bishop Kenny had to give. So Lake Highland will be in the bonus for the remainder of the game. Roberts has to be careful now playing with 3. Certainly can't afford to lose her. They get a 3-pointer taken by Ingram. Roberts has the rebound and a chance to potentially make it a single-digit margin. Millar from the corner, quick release. Short, and Ingram leads the break for Lake Highland. 3-on-1, Harris, bounce pass, Ingram. Couldn't get it to go. Blackshear had the rebound, and it's a jump ball.
Lake Highland was almost too efficient on that fast break. They had 3 girls going almost all to the same spot.
Arrow keeps it with the Highlanders. 3:09 to go. Entry pass is deflected, and a foul, I think that's on Roberts, will put Nyla Harris at the line for a 1-and-1.
And this is where, if you're Coach Honor, you just let your girls know that if we can make free throws, we will be state champions this year. It's a simple fact at this point that if they can make their free throws, they will win a state title.
Now Roberts has quickly picked up 3 fouls for 4 in the game, and just got strict instructions from Coach Charlie Clark: do not foul. 17 for Nyla Harris. She leads all scorers. Didn't play basketball until 6th grade. She was a dancer. Got into basketball and has quickly made an impact, but still has so much of an upside. And one day, potentially wants to take your job, aspires to be a ESPN broadcaster. I don't know if she's ready to work now, but we got 3 more championship games here. We use a special guest analyst.
Yeah, Tony Romo, he's an analyst for sports, right? Just went from $4 million to $17 million a year.
I don't think he is an analyst for sports, because sports analysts don't get paid $17 million a year. I think there must be something else that he's doing for CBS.
There was a bidding war. ESPN wanted him, Fox wanted him.
I mean, if he can predict anything else on earth, like the stock market, as well as he predicts what's coming in an NFL game, he's going to be in pretty good shape to turn that $17 million into something a little bit more. 14-point game, under 3 minutes to go. Harris went 1 of 2 at the line. Neesmith aggressively took it inside. Tong knocked it toward the corner, and Lake Highland has it.
And you would hope, yeah, Coach Honor's putting the hand up, you would hope they're going to take the air out of the basketball here. Stop shooting threes. Get nothing but layups and free throws right now if you're Lake Highland. And I think that's the strategy.
Bishop Kenny chasing the ball around as Lake Highland has great spacing. Finally, Blackshear is fouled by Tong. And this will be the last 1-and-1 for the Highlanders. That's the 5th foul on Tong, so the future Flagler College post player exits. Her high school career comes to a close. A valiant effort in this 4A championship game, though Bishop Kenny going to come up short.
Found the ending of this year's NBA All-Star game interesting, how you play to a certain score. I wonder if that's the future. You take out just killing time and the fouls at the end. It seemed like a pretty good ending to a basketball game.
The Elam ending.
Elam ending. That's
for
what
which
it was.
It is affectionately known. Neesmith, kick to the corner, Dolovich. a lot of fun to watch the best players in the world go at it in that kind of format. Harris patiently waited before opting to go up, as if not sure whether I should shoot this or not. Well, it's going to be a return to the top for Lake Highland. 18-point lead with less than 90 seconds to go. Millar continuing to be aggressive. And almost certainly, Lake Highland will have a trip in their future to Dick's Nationals, which bring together some of the best teams from around the country, 8 boys teams, 4 girls teams. And traditionally there is always a team from Florida that is selected, and figure with what Lake Highland has accomplished this season, there's no doubt that they would be the Florida representative in that event.
You would think so. Looking forward to some of the boys games next week. Seeing which of those boys team can hoist the state title and possibly get invited to that tournament as well.
Mentioned this, Lake Highland's boys team will be here next week. Ben Fratrick, Lake Highland coach, leading the Highlanders back here for the first time since Joel Berry was a star, and Lake Highland won 3 consecutive state titles. Alicia Carter with the bucket underneath as we come up on 1 minute to go.
And the pressure doesn't stop.
Still 3 more championship games to go here on this Saturday in Lakeland. 5A, 6A, 7A. Kara McCarthy checks out for Bishop Kenny to a nice ovation from the Crusader faithful and a big hug from Charlie Clark. 116 straight starts. And there's what's coming up next. Pine Forest out of Pensacola taking on American Heritage. Patriots were the 6A champion a year ago, but classification shuffle around, the FHSA compressing things. We had 9 classes for a few years, this year down to 7. So teams in new classifications, new opponents. Bishop Kenny was in 6A last year, played American Heritage in the championship game. And so they will be a state runner-up for the 2nd year in a row. High arcing 3 from Dolmovich.
You mentioned the hugs for Coach Clark on that sideline. Compare that to the in-your-face style she's had throughout this game. And like you talked about, the relationship she's built with these players is how you can get that, how you can get in your face, and then that leads to a hug by the end of the game. And it's a rare sight these days.
A timeout from Bishop Kenny, strictly to substitute Jasmine Roberts. Rose Dolmovich will check out. Again, well-deserved ovations for those players. Understanding that the end is not going to be the outcome that they wanted, but they can certainly be proud of their effort. Val Honor has emptied his bench as well. Now get your popcorn ready for the rest of the games. 5A, 6A, 7A still to come here in Lakeland. Showed you the teams in 5A. Wekiva, another Central Florida team trying to repeat. They won the large class championship last year, 9A. They are in the 6A title game this year against Ely. And then the 7A title game, the large class this year, will pit Miami High against Tampa Plant.
Miami High, a team we've seen here a few times.
Gut-wrenching losses the last couple of years for Miami High. Mascarenas blocks the shot, and time expires. After finishing a state runner-up the last 2 years, Lake Highland is back on top.
This warms my heart every year.
Four championships for the Highlanders puts them in elite company. Means they are tied for the most in Central Florida history. And with a lineup that has a lot of underclass talent. Lake Highland should be favored to make it back here again next season.
And give credit to Bishop Kenny. They stuck with this Highlander team for 2 quarters that first half, and they too have a lot of underclassmen as well. So they've got a lot to work with over the summer and in the fall next year to get ready for next season.
(27-23) at the half. Third quarter was where Lake Highland broke things open. 15-5 run by the Highlanders helped them take command of the game. And lots of smiles for the girls from Lake Highland Prep. Third consecutive year at a state final, and they will take gold medals back to Orlando. And they finished the year 9-0 against teams that made it to the state tournament. Truly, Lake Highland, the best of the best this season in the state of Florida.
And to see these smiles, like I said, every year it's nice to come here to Lakeland and see these teenagers just really who work hard for something and then have smiles as a result of it.
Now, Travis and I will step aside. We will continue to show you highlights of the girls getting their medals, teams getting their respective trophies. Runner-up for Bishop Kenny and the championship trophy for Lake Highland Prep. Don't forget, 3 more championship games still to come here in Lakeland, 5A, 6A, and 7A. Until then, for Travis Jones and our entire Spectrum News crew, led by producer Chris McCulley and director Mike Catolo, Austin Lyons saying so long from the RP Funding Center in Lakeland. Congratulations to Lake Highland Prep, 4A state champions. And again, stay with us as the medal ceremony continues.